On June 21, 2025, the stillness over Missouri was shattered at 3:15 a.m. as 6 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers lifted off from Whiteman Air Force Base. Their flying wing silhouettes vanished into the pre-dawn sky, nearly invisible to radar, embarking on a mission to strike at the heart of Iran's nuclear program. Inside, elite crews worked in silence, faces lit by the green glow of their instruments, fully aware of the stakes. Months of failed diplomacy and mounting intelligence had led to this moment, a final high-risk gamble to halt Iran's nuclear ambitions. The bombers, call signs Nightshade 1 through 6, faced a grueling 30-hour journey across continents, relying on endurance and precision. Every checklist was performed with meticulous care. This was no simulation. They would soon enter one of the world's most heavily defended airspaces. The weight of their mission was immense, not just in munitions but in the geopolitical consequences that would follow. As they climbed to cruising altitude and set course east, the world slept, unaware of the history unfolding above. The crews settled in for a long, tense flight, knowing failure was not an option. They were the vanguard of a complex operation, the first move in a deadly chess game. The world would not know of their existence until the night sky over Iran erupted in fire. The Ghost Fleet was on its way, history was holding its breath. The B-2s were just one part of Operation Phantom Reach, a global military operation involving over 125 aircraft, naval assets, and satellites. Months of planning at U.S. Central Command ensured every contingency was covered, with the goal: deliver the bombers to their targets and bring them home safely. KC-135 and KC-46 tankers provided vital mid-air refueling over the Atlantic and Mediterranean, keeping the bombers aloft. U.S. Navy submarines moved into the Arabian Sea and Persian Gulf, ready to launch sea-based strikes and monitor Iranian responses. Intelligence was the operation's lifeblood. Spy satellites mapped Iran's air defenses, tracked mobile missile batteries, and fed real-time data to mission planners. RC-135 reconnaissance aircraft gathered electronic intelligence, identifying gaps in Iran's defenses. Fighter jets, F-22S and F-35S, were deployed to regional bases, ready to provide escort and air superiority. EA-18G Growlers prepared to jam Iranian radar and communications at the critical moment. Every asset had a role, from satellites in orbit to submarines below. The operation was a symphony of power, all focused on one objective: breaking the unbreakable. The scale and precision of the coordination were unprecedented. The world's most advanced military machine was in motion. The targets, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, were among the most fortified sites on Earth, buried deep underground. Fordow, built into a mountain near Qom, was considered invulnerable, shielded by hundreds of feet of rock and concrete. Iran's air defenses were formidable. Russian-made S-300S, overlapping missile batteries and mobile radar units created a dense shield. Underground, the bunkers were reinforced with layers of steel and concrete, with critical chambers nearly 300 feet below the surface. Previous sabotage and cyber attacks had only delayed Iran's progress. Each attempt made the sites more resilient. Iran believed its engineering had placed its nuclear program beyond reach. The US aimed to shatter that confidence, not just to destroy, but to send a message: nowhere is safe. The B-2 crews faced a daunting challenge: penetrate layered defenses, navigate to precise coordinates, and deliver their weapons with pinpoint accuracy. Any mistake could mean mission failure and the loss of the aircraft. The stakes were enormous. The unbreakable fortresses were about to be tested. Stealth was the key. The B-2's design, smooth, radar-absorbing with engines buried deep, made it nearly invisible to Iranian radar. As the bombers crossed into hostile airspace, they became electronic ghosts, appearing no larger than birds on enemy screens. U.S. Navy EA-18G Growlers unleashed electronic jamming, blinding Iranian radar and creating corridors of confusion. Iranian operators saw only static and ghost targets, unable to distinguish real threats. Aerial refueling was executed in radio silence and darkness, using secure data links and infrared beacons. Each successful refueling brought the bombers closer to their objective. Ahead, F-22 Raptors swept the skies for Iranian fighters, ensuring a clear path. This combination of stealth, electronic attack, and fighter escort created a cloak of invisibility. The bombers approached their targets as phantoms. At the heart of the strike were the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, 30,000-pound bombs designed to destroy deeply buried targets. Each B-2 carried 2 MOPs, guided by GPS to penetrate up to 200 feet of earth and 60 feet of concrete. Nightshade 1 arrived over Fordow, releasing its first bomb, a dark cylinder falling silently before its guidance system took over. The bomb struck the mountain at supersonic speed, burrowing deep before detonating underground. The explosion was a subterranean earthquake, collapsing tunnels and shattering centrifuge halls. A second MOP followed, aimed at a separate section to ensure total destruction. At Natanz and Isfahan, other B-2s repeated the process using MOPs and GBU-31J dams for surface targets. Each bomb struck with pinpoint accuracy, crippling command centers and power supplies. The attack was methodical and devastating. Iran's greatest fortresses were turned into tombs. No bunker was deep enough to withstand the reach of modern American air power. The message was clear: nowhere was safe. The B-2s weren't alone. U.S. Navy submarines and destroyers launched Tomahawk cruise missiles from the Arabian Sea and Persian Gulf, striking radar sites, command bunkers, and missile batteries. The naval assault was timed to coincide with the airstrike, blinding and paralyzing Iran's defenses. Radar screens went dark, communications were severed, and explosions erupted across the country. The Iranian military was overwhelmed, unable to mount an effective defense. By the time they understood the scale of the attack, the B-2s were already turning for home. This multi-pronged strategy, air and sea, ensured near-total impunity for the bombers. The operation targeted not just nuclear sites, but the entire ecosystem protecting them. It was a symphony of destruction, perfectly orchestrated. The mission's success was total. As dawn broke on June 22, 2025, satellite images revealed the devastation. Fordow scarred, Natanz in ruins. Operation Phantom Reach had set Iran's nuclear program back by years, perhaps permanently. The unbreakable had been broken. Iran's leaders condemned the attack, but their capabilities were crippled. The world watched, stunned, as the US demonstrated its unmatched power and resolve. Yet the aftermath brought new dangers. Would Iran retaliate, through proxies, cyber attacks, or by threatening global oil supplies? The world held its breath, hoping to avoid a wider war. The strike raised profound questions. Has a new precedent been set for preemptive action? How will Russia and China respond? Will this spark a new arms race or deter future nuclear ambitions? The night the B-2s flew may be remembered as a tactical masterpiece, but its long-term legacy remains unwritten. The world stands at a crossroads, uncertain what comes next.